Hello, this is Paul Lennon, and I'm presenting what is actually my bestseller. It's a small booklet called Father Maciel, Pedophile, Psychopath, and Legion of Christ Founder. This little booklet was written a few years ago, and it was part of a dialogue I had with a very famous Catholic writer at the time, Richard John Newhouse. And also at the very end of the book, I question the Pope, in this case Pope Benedict, who did comment in an interview on Father Maciel. So this little book has been very, very successful and it has been read by some of my Mexican friends on the Legio Leaks page, which now has over 2,300 members, and they might be called disaffected legionaries of Christ, mostly of the Spanish language and culture. So this is a book that has gone through several editions, and this was originally called Dr. Newhouse Duped by the Legion of Christ by Father Maciel. So it's very simple. The title says it all. And also what I think is very interesting is that I dissect Pope Benedict's comments on Father Maciel, which I found to be too soft in the case of Father Maciel. In that famous interview, Pope Benedict was asked the question, the Church was shaken also by revelations about the double life of Maciel Degollado, the founder of the Congregation of Priests, the Legion of Christ, etc. And the Pope in that interview says, unfortunately, we addressed these things very slowly and late. Somehow they were concealed very well, and only around the year 2000 did we have concrete clues. Now these phrases by Pope Benedict are very, very hurtful to Maciel's victims, because they've been trying to bring this to the Pope's attention for decades. And the Vatican itself investigated Maciel and the Legion way back in 1956, and Maciel escaped. He's like one of his many qualities and facets, as well as being the great deceiver, he is also the great Houdini. So I found fault with the Pope's words, because I don't think they were sufficient in defining who and what Father Maciel done. He said, the Pope said and defined Father Maciel's existence as a life that was out of moral bounds, an adventurous, wasted, twisted life. And I say he treads too lightly, because Father Maciel was much worse than that. He was a veritably depraved hypocrite whose reality far outshone Moliere's fictional Tartuffe. He was guilty of sexually abusing his own seminarians, of using them in diverse ways, of masquerading as a saint and a holy priest, of lying and deceiving, of being a totally self-centered and narcissistic person, of being cruel and vengeful. And of course, then my question is, how could we believe that such a person would found a religious order? How could he found a legitimate religious order? Are you, Holy Father, asking us to believe that the Holy Spirit founded the Legion of Christ despite the moral turpitude of the founder? Or that Maciel was satire and saint at the same time, in an allusion to the nature of the Church itself as the whore virgin, casta meretrix, postulated by Hans von Balthasar? Now that gives me pause. Thank you for your attention, and I hope this book continues to stir you, continues to wake you up, and continues to challenge you on this kind of soft-gloved approach of the many leaders of the Catholic Church toward sexual abuse, and specifically in the case of Father Maciel, who was let off with a little slap on the wrist and never faced the consequences for his actions. Bye.